Today's video is about a powered under-the-seat subwoofer I'm going to be doing a review on, also get it installed and do a couple of music sound tests on this thing. Stay tuned. First, let's go ahead and dig in. So this is the QBUS10P powered under-the-seat subwoofer from MVX that they offer. Really cool and going to be awesome to see how this thing sounds today, get it hooked up and installed, and hope y'all enjoy this review and overview. So let's go ahead and dig in. This is the 10-inch subwoofer. They also offer these in a 8 as well. You'd have to check out their site to see more details on it. Also, all links in the description. I don't like to say everything in the manual because you can read that yourself, but I'll give you the overview that I see that's nice on it. This is rated at 500 watts. That's going to be peak power. And this is a slim subwoofer, making it usable to be able to actually be installed under the seat and in a really tight space. And of course, we'll go ahead and look into the manual in a minute too. But first off, let's get the actual amplifier and powered subwoofer all-in-one reviewed first. So this actually is a powered subwoofer, not just an amplifier or not just a subwoofer, but a combine of both to make it very user-friendly to be able to get it installed and into one location without having to have multiple equipment pieces to make it universal for your convenience. You can see the footprint space is really compact based on the size of my hand, and of course it's a 10-inch subwoofer. The back of the box I just showed you was the measurements on it, and a really nice look to it. Definitely heavy. It doesn't feel like it looks like it's heavy on the video, but it is fairly heavy weighted for being a shallow mounted subwoofer, and a really cool machine design that they have for the MVX logo. And look at that, a little mini vented ported enclosure design. So a vent port design that they have here to add a little bit extra maximum bass performance. So it's not a sealed enclosure but a little mini port there. And also let's look into the fuse rating. Looks like it's a 15 amp fuse rating with 8 gauge power and ground inputs. Also the bass remote control we'll look at in a second. You can also adjust your phase. You can have an auto power on and off setting that you can turn on or off. The low pass, bass boost, and your input volts. So a lot of the things that an amplifier already offers, but with this amplifier powered subwoofer enclosure, you're actually able to not have to wire a subwoofer input and negative and positive to it. So it's already wired for you. And it is a 4 ohm impedance, but its output impedance is 2 ohm for the amplifier that is powering it. So, and on the back you can see a couple of screws you can actually dismount to be able to disassemble it. I'm not going to be taking it apart today. And also it is moisture resistant is what I'm looking at in the manual. That's pretty cool. So if you accidentally spill something, you would be okay, as long as it doesn't hit in the wiring component area. So let's go ahead and look at the bass knob real quick. It's going to be a really simple bass knob just to be able to have your min-max to be able to control it. But it includes a bass knob, so that's actually a nice extra perk. You can be able to put that all the way next to your seat, and you can control the output of this bass just by this little simple knob. And another thing I want to mention is the heat dissipation factor of it. At the bottom, I actually get to try this out and actually see the heat that it reacts and releases when I do the music test that you'll see in a couple of minutes as well in the video. So it's pretty cool that it has that feature too. So let's look at the manual real quick. This is, once again, a 10-inch slim subwoofer, so a lot of people know these as shallow mounts, and it has every feature that you saw. It has an aluminum die-cast heat sink, so that relates to the heat dissipation that I mentioned earlier. And everything else, really, you just need to check out the links in the description. I'm not going to read down the manual. One other thing that I think is really important to know is that this has a high-level input of 1 volts to 8 volts. So it is really compatible with even a stock radio station system, or if you have an aftermarket upgraded stereo system. So it gives you different options for how you're going to actually connect it, whether you use your stock radio or your stereo system. So that's pretty cool. So hope you enjoyed that quick review. Also hit a like if you haven't already. It goes a long way. And stay tuned for more videos and subscribe. So now that I gave you a little overview of this, let's go ahead and get this thing installed. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing installed. There we go, got the RCAs installed, got the ground, remote, and 12 volt power all installed. So now let me go ahead and get this thing tuned. So for tuning this, I'm not going to mess with phase. They have a phase option. I'm not going to have phase on 0 or 180 degrees. I'm just going to keep it on 0 degrees. No need for me to change that. Going to have my low pass, going to go ahead and set that. Since this is a subwoofer, for subwoofer output coming from the RCAs of my stereo head unit, I will be tuning this to around the 80 to 95 hertz range. So I'll turn it all the way down to make sure I can dial it right. And it's nice that this gives me that 80 to 95 hertz range. So I'm going to put it right in the middle around that 90 hertz range. That's going to be for my low pass. So that way I get all of my bass will play up to that before it gets actually lower cutoff point from the crossover. My bass boost, I don't want any boost on here, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And my input volts are going to match my actual stereo head unit volts, which is 2 volts. So depending on your actual RCAs, where your RCA pre-out voltage is of your stereo head unit, depends on that. Not going to use any devices to tune the gain today. The input voltage here will be 2 volts for the RCAs. And of course, I'm not going to be using a remote bass knob for this. They came with it, but I don't need it for this, but it is a nice factor to use. And that's all it takes for me to get it tuned. Now, for me to make sure everything's good, I'm going to go ahead and make sure the setting is off, get the vehicle turned on, and let's turn this thing on for first turn on. Okay, I'm about to go turn my vehicle on for the first time this amplifier powered subwoofer has been ever turned on, and we'll see how it does. Auto power on is off currently, but it did turn on using the remote wire. I honestly don't know why you would need the auto power on, but there's a feature that it offers for this. But you can hardly see, but it has turned on with no issues. The little light is on. So now let's go ahead and do a couple of subwoofer sound tests and see how this thing sounds. Get a little more detailed breakdown on it too. Alright, so I've got 2 songs I'm going to play. Both of these will be from YouTube Studio. The first one's Revolutionary. It's not going to really be able to see very much, not taking off this panel because it's a lot of disassembly, but we'll get a little port flex action here and see how the subwoofer flex sounds. Not going to be most optimal because I'm outside. If I put it in the vehicle, you would hardly hear it too, just because of camera doesn't pick up sound quality of subwoofer output very well. So here we go. I'm going to set it down on the table. That gives you a realistic feel that it's vibrating. I actually could feel a little bit of heat dissipation underneath the amplifier portion of this, so definitely working. Not going to be an extreme subwoofer, just enough bump to get you better than stock speakers, since it is only a 200 watt RMS rated subwoofer, as I mentioned earlier. So now let's do one other song, and definitely got a little bit of flex action here with the pressure coming out of this port, so it's pretty cool to see that. And the vibration you hear when I set it on the table is to give you an idea of what kind of output it's putting out just through vibrating. All right, so next song here. This one is from YouTube Studio, Contact. Definitely feel the punch of the pressure coming from the subwoofer from where I feel, but you can't tell on video. But definitely really nice NVX subwoofer, powered amplifier style. Hope y'all enjoyed that video. Be sure to give it a like, as well as comment what you think about it, and I really be glad to be able to see what y'all's feedback is on this budget friendly powered subwoofer amplifier. So it's the GB US 10P 10-inch subwoofer. Got a little bit warm. I was actually playing a little hard for y'all, even though you can't tell on video. But really exciting to see the output this thing's putting out for a little punch for a small compact space, whether you want to put it underneath of your seat, in the back in the hidden area, in the trunk. Just give you a little bit more bang than your stock speakers, as I mentioned earlier, for a good price. So check out the links in the description, and shout out to NVX, really nice powered subwoofer here. And stay tuned for more videos. Hope you all enjoyed that. Subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.